Hi and welcome to Game Creation. And so we've done quite well so far in the first 2 weeks, and now we're on the kind of last stretch. We've got two main things we need to cover as a matter of urgency for us to have this game as a minimum viable product. We don't worry about scoring levels and all that stuff. But the two things we need to sort out are the rotations of the pieces, because you can't really call it Tetris if the two pieces don't rotate. And obviously the removal of rows that are completed. So today's video we're going to be doing the rotation, and hopefully tomorrow's video we're going to be doing the removal of the rows. So let's get started. So the rotations should follow logically. If I open up the sheet we had before, if you look at all 7 of these pieces, some, like this one here, have no rotations because they're all going to look identical. Some have 2 rotations, like this block here has 2 rotations because its rotational symmetry is 2, and this rotational symmetry is 4, which means it looks identical all 4 rotations. This looks identical twice. But this one here has a rotational symmetry of 1 or 0, depending on what you want to call it. So it never looks the same. And so there's some, like this one, with 2. There's some there's some that look the same twice. There's some that look the same all the time, so 4 times. And there's some that look the same none of the 4 times. So what we're going to do is have 4 rotations for each of these. But if you're at rotation 0, 1, 2 or 3, this is just going to look the same. Okay, so that's the kind of basic programming that we're going to be doing. So if we go into work out other tile positions, you can see that I've already got an orientation sorted out. And so what we need to do is just keep referencing back to our Photoshop file to figure out which shape it is, and then just work out where the positions are. So this is going to be a bit tedious, but before we do that, we're going to have to sort out the controls so we can actually test it. So where are the controls? Player inputs. And so upon pressing, and I'll say the Z key, is going to remove 1 from the orientation. So alterable values, and I mean, we can subtract. Why not use that function? I didn't use it before. So subtract from orientation 1. And then I'm going to do this. It's X, and we're going to add 1 to the orientation. So this won't actually do anything at the moment, apart from none of these will fire. So it's just going to be a bit weird. Obviously, we only want 0, 1, 2 or 3 as values. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out, what I might do is put a condition in here. So insert, and what we're going to do is just compare the alterable value. And we're going to say if the orientation is greater than 0, then yep, subtract 1 from it, and then just copy that. And then say if it's lower or equal, it can only be 0 because what we're going to do is set it to 3. So we're just going to say alterable value set to 3, and let's make sure I get the right alterable value. So orientation. So if it's greater than 0, subtract 1 from it, because if it's 3, it goes to 2. If it's less than or equal to 0, then we need to set it to 3. So it just loops. And same with this one, although this time if it's lower than 3, we can add 1 to it. And then if it's greater than or equal to 3, then we're just going to set it to 0, because then it will loop back around. Okay, we can test that. It won't visually, we won't be able to visually see it. But if I look at the player data store, I think it is, which is already open. There we are, alterable values. So orientation is 1, so it's X, X, X. Oh, there's some logic problem there. I know why. The problem is that this is subtracting 1 from it and then making this true. Okay, so we might want to do a fast loop here. I think that's going to be sensible. So we're just going to do a fast loop on this, turning. Why not? And we're just going to do 1, and we're going to do on loop. So this is quite common when I'm not thinking, because this will fire, but the Z is still pressed, and this one will fire as well. So this one will subtract 1 from it to make it 0, and then this one will say, oh, it's 0, therefore it needs to be 3. So we're just missing out that 1 each time. So what I'm just going to do is do this as a fast loop to check it, because the fast loop will only fire once, so it will do that and then the fast loop will fire. I need some more logic on this. This won't work perfectly at the moment, because we've just got to play through it and figure it out. So okay, now let's think about this logically. So if the orientation is, so what we need to do now is just say if it's less than or equal to -1, because we're happy for it to be 0, but if it's -1, set it to 3, and if it's greater than or equal to 4, then set it to 0. Okay, this should work now, hopefully. Where are we? The player data store, and where's the orientation? There. Okay, so X, 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 X. Ooh, it's still not working. So, because these are still there, yeah. This is why we test. That is why we test. Okay, it should work now. 2, 3, 0, 1, 2. Let's go the other way. That's perfect, right. Then at the end of this loop, what we're going to do is fire our this bit here, work out tile positions. So we're going to do the same as having pressed left, essentially, or right. But we need to actually code this. So let's have a look at what our first one is. The first one's the T block, so that's going to be a pain in the backside to figure out. So with X, we're going to the right, so we're going kind of, was it anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on what country you're in, and Z is going to go clockwise. And it's important that we remember that, because you don't want it to be doing different things for different objects. So for clockwise, we need to move this left one up to the top. It doesn't matter which order these are in, as long as they're represented. So what we're going to do is just constantly move this one up here, and then this bottom one down there, and then this right hand one down there, if that makes at all any sense. So let's open it up, and what we're going to do is just copy this once, and we're going to say the orientation is 1, and this is a matter of me remembering things. So we want to move the, let me just open it up again, the one that's to the left we want to move to the top. So the one that was to the left, which is this first one, we want to move to the top. And remember why minus is taller. Okay, then for the second one, this is where diagrams help. For the second one, we've already moved that 4 to the top there. So what we need to move is the one that is down to the left. Okay, so the one that is down, which is this one, we need to move it to the left. So we don't want it to be down anymore. We want to move it to the left. No, that's the wrong one. No. The one that is down is the bottom one, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. The one that is down needs to move to the left. There's probably easier ways of doing this. I'm not one to do things the easy way. Right, so for this last one, we've got 1, 2, 3 done. So we want to move the one from that's moved right down. Yeah. The one that's moved right, we want it to move down. So this one, we want this one to move down. Down is +1. Right. And this is the moment of truth, really. This is why we test it. I don't know why I keep clicking that. Right. This is why we test it. Let's just save that. And now we just need to keep flicking until we get that block. And this is, here we are. Okay, so Z and X. Perfect. Okay. Now I don't know whether that is the way it moves in Tetris on the Game Boy. But this was never going to be perfect. I think maybe it was, I don't know. Okay, so what happened there was the orientation was different, so it didn't draw any other tiles there, but we knew that was going to happen. Okay, now that's actually an interesting one because we need to set the orientation to 0 on New Tetromino. So why don't we do that now? Because that's reminded me to do that. So let's just copy and paste the row and alterable value set orientation to 0. So whenever we start, we want the orientation to be 0 because they always come up the same way around. Okay, so we've done all of 1 and now we're going to do 2. So let's have a look at 2, see what we're dealing with. Okay, so this only has 2 states. This only has, because its rotational symmetry is 2, so it's only got 2 states. So now we've got to figure out where that's going to go. So the 4 is going to go up there, and the 5 is going to move to the right. Okay, I might need to refer back to that diagram. So let's copy it first, and let's set orientation 1. Okay, ready to go. So the 4 is going to move, so the bottom, the one that's moved left and down needs to just move up. So the one that's moved left and down just needs to move up. Okay, and the one at the bottom that's just moved down needs to move down and right. So down needs to move down and right. So this is down, so it's going to be down and right. Okay, let's run that. Let me just see what object it is. It's the S one. Okay. So let's keep flicking until we get the S one. That's the Z one. Seem to have really bad luck. And you could hard code this. There we are. Okay, that's cool. So that works. Now, the problem is for some of the orientation. So orientation 2 and 3, it doesn't exist. So all we do is just put an OR filter in. And then just move it the same. And then this is also going to be orientation 2. Which is nice. So we're going to do the same with this one. So we don't have to just write the whole thing again. We're just saying, so hang on, let me get this right. So orientation 0, it should be that way up. Orientation 1 should be that way up. Orientation 2 should be that way up. And then orientation 3 should be that way up. So you're actually flicking between 4 values, but when you play it, it feels like you're only flicking between 2. There we are. Perfect, right. Let's move on to the next shape. And it's this one. So this is always going to be the same. So this is quite an easy one to do. In fact, a very easy one to do. Because all we just put is the OR value. I mean, I don't actually need to do this. I could just remove the orientation from this. Even better. So just always with 3. So let's just run that. There we go. So it works for, I'm pressing down the Z and the X button, works perfectly. And it wouldn't have worked before because it would have only drawn on orientation 0 and it would have just shown one of the blocks. So that's good. That's that done. Right. The 4, now this one, this one's a bit difficult because we're moving quite a lot of blocks. So 4 and 6 I think are probably the hardest. So the first thing we're doing is moving the 1 to the, what's the easiest way of doing this? I could move the 6 down here. So right goes down, left goes left and up, and down and left goes up. Wow, this is going to be complicated. So let's do them starting from this one. So this is just going to move up. So left moves left and up. Okay, so let's just copy this. Orientation 1. So left moves left and up. So left moves left and up. Up is -1. That's that one moved. Left and down moves just up. So left and down moves just up. And finally, right just moves down. So right just moves down. Okay. I'm just going to check that. So what is that? That's a kind of L on its side going downwards like that. Okay. This one here. Okay. Let's check it. Oh, that works nicely. Okay. So we're going to move on. We're going to do orientation 2. And let's have a look. Orientation 2. So it's going to be exactly the same as orientation 1. In fact, I might just copy and paste the orientation 1, which is going to be easier. Orientation 0, I mean. So let's delete that. Let's copy this, move that down, and then that's going to be orientation 2. Okay. And because all we need to do with this one, and let's just go back to it, is move down left to up right. There we go. It's easier. So down and left would be this one. It's just going to move up, or right and up. Cool. Okay. And I think we can do the same with the other one. So if it's up like that, then the top right will move to the bottom. Sorry, top left will move to the bottom right. So we'll copy the orientation 1. So top left, top left will move to bottom right. So right and bottom. There's quite a lot of maths in this, isn't there? Okay, let's try and test this. No, that's not that one. It's that one then. Okay, X, 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 Y, Z, 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 Z. Perfect. Okay, we're getting there. Right, so we're going to do number 5. So number 5 is this one. So we've got the same kind of setup as before, where so it's similar to 2, isn't it? It's the other way around. So what's it going to look like? So we're going to move left to top. Is that easy? Oh no, Go move bottom right to top, and then bottom to bottom left. So bottom right to top. Okay. So bottom right to top. So bottom right to top. So this one's moved up here, and then bottom to bottom left. So bottom, which is this one, to bottom left. And then we're going to do the same thing, put the oars in, and that will work for orientation 2, and this will work for orientation 3. And which one is it? I always get these two muddled up. It's the Z one. Okay. So let's just test it. So that seems to work perfectly. Happy with that. Alright, we're coming close to the end, which is nice. We've got that horrible L shape again. So let's try and get our head around this. Alright. Okay, so for this one, we're going to move right to right top, bottom right to top, and then left to bottom, if that makes at all any sense. So right to right top, let's start with that one. So right is this one, goes to right top. Bottom right goes to just bottom. So bottom right goes to just bottom. Okay. Bottom right goes to bottom, and then left goes to top. So left goes to top, which is -1. Okay, let's just check that. So what shape is it? It is the L shape with it to the left, to the right. This one, and that works perfectly. Excellent. And now we could copy the 0 one, because that's actually easier for us to use for our orientation 2, because all we need to do is move from the bottom right to the top left, I believe. I'm doing this from memory now. So bottom right to the top left. And then I'm going to copy the first orientation of 1, and we're going to make that orientation of 3. And now we'll need to just look at the diagram to remind me. So it is up here, down here. So top right to the bottom left. So top right, top right goes to bottom left. So left and bottom. Okay, let's run it. Let's have a bit of luck. There we go. Looks pretty perfect. Okay, so we've got this long piece, and this will be similar to the other one where it's only got 2 orientations. And let's have a look. So we've got this one. So we just need to move from the left to the top. So the one that's currently left, which is this one, I'm going to move it to the top. So left to the top. And then we're going to move right to the bottom. and right to bottom. Okay. Then we're going to do the same as we did before. We're just going to have the oars in. And that goes for orientation 2. And then this one here goes to orientation 3. Now I've put the wrong oars in, actually, looking at it. Should really have a filtered oar, or logical oar, I mean. Yeah. Should really be a logical oar. I'm not going to go through the difference. I have done a video on it. There we go. Just makes me happier. And it should work either way. Just it's if anything's referenced in here, it applies to it in here, but it doesn't actually matter. So I always use this one if it doesn't matter, right? So it should work perfectly now. So that works. That works. And this is the one we're testing. Seems to work perfectly. Now this might not be exactly the way Tetris works. Maybe we'll check that out later this week. But it looks pretty convincing. So now we can actually stack them. And the actual game itself should work nicely. And so you can see that you can actually stack them. I need to increase the speed of this tick when testing. Alright, let's see if I can slot this in at the side. If I can do that, then I have succeeded in today's video. Alright, let's try and slot this in. Ooh, that's interesting. So we have found a bug. And this is generally why we test. I think I know why that bug happened. But that's a weird one. Alright, so we need to look at that. So if let's try and do that again. Let's try and slot this in. I think it was moving down and I moved left at the same time, which is why that happened, which I knew was going to be a problem. I'm so glad I highlighted it at the end of this video. But thank you very much for watching the series so far. If you've got comments, please feel free to write them. It's buggy. And hopefully we'll fix this bug. I know what it is. We'll fix this bug later in the week. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 7 PM UK time. Thank you.